All right, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order since we have a quorum here. Mr. Tinsley and Mr. Harper will not be able to join us. We'll see if Shanna can. Can we have a roll call, please?
Cruz, Harper, Rector, Rosales, Tinsley, Anderson, Hardkey.
All right, we have a quorum. Can I have a motion on tonight's agenda? Mr. Rector moved, and I'll take the second from Mr. Anderson. Any comments or changes? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll move ahead then to the approval. Can I have a motion on the minutes of August 8th, please? Mr. Rosales and Mr. Anderson will give it this time. Any comments or changes? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. I'll move on to public participation. I don't see any public, and I have no slips. Move on. Is there any communication from members? Okay, we will move on through that then. We have, we'll move on then all the way to what is number 9 then on our agenda, a contract for the jail ADA compliance project. Can I have a motion, please? So moved. From Mr. Rector, a second? Seconded by Mr. Anderson. All right. It is open for conversation. Dana, do you have an update for us?
All right, thanks. ITB 2017-10, Satellite Jail ADA Compliance Project. If you remember, a month ago, we came to you to rebid this. It was bid as another number and let in July, or excuse me, in August, and we only had one bidder for the project. We had learned that IDOT had a number of projects that were coming out, and most of these folks were busy. So we divided up the project, went out and talked to people, divided it up, and the base bid was just the ADA component, which was really just concrete work, replacing some of the asphalt surfaces that the slope and cross slope do not meet current ADA standards, and some sidewalk work that traverses from the parking lot into the building so that it meets ADA standards. And then we created some different alternates, giving people opportunities to further break up the work and give us a better understanding. Alternate number 1 was patchwork and coat the parking lot, both parking lots and the circle drive. Alternate number 2 was patch and coat the main drive coming in off of Learman. 3 and 4 were creation of concept creation of and pricing of adding some space to the parking lot. Oftentimes during the day for both visitors and the employee lot, the lot's packed and people are parking on grass and around the building. So we looked at creating 6 extra spots for the visitor lot, which would be to the south, and 10 spots for employee parking to the east. Alternate number 5 was for putting in bumper blocks. Those are those concrete blocks that folks hopefully can't drive over unless they've got a really high pickup truck. And then alternate number 6, we elected to put in there just to see what would happen, but that's milling, grinding up 2 inches of the current asphalt parking lot and drive and replacing it with 2 inches of new asphalt. So we were surprised when pricing came back in to find out that we had some great prices on most of the items. I will also mention, and I apologize for not bringing it up earlier, we had 3 bidders involved, actually 4 bidders involved through the process. The fourth dropped out during the week. The third one was actually had a conversation with our architect the morning of the bid, and they said they would be there and just didn't show up for some reason. So that was the one bidder from the previous bid, which was unfortunate. But we did get 2 bids. Bid materials are tabulated there on the bid tab sheet. Base bid, which we've got to go ahead and do for ADA purposes. And then the options that we see, as well as the letter that was written by Bailey Edwards, our architect, the options that we sought, basically, we listed them as option A is just the base bid. Those are from the documents we received. Getting that done, as well as the architectural fee, had a price total. Option B was doing the ADA work and alternates 1 and 2. Alternate, yeah, I messed up. Pardon me. Too many pieces of paper. Yeah, I know. I just got the old one. Apologize. Okay. Okay, so option B again, I was just doing the base DOJ work with options 1 and 2, so that's patch and coating the circle drive as well as the main drive in. Option C is doing the DOJ work, options 1, 2, and alternate 3, which would give you 10 spaces for employee parking, gave you a total of $129,000, as you've seen on the sheet. And then option D, which frankly we like the best, is doing your base work and then taking just alternate 6. And alternate 6, what that provides is that's going to give us 20 years of a solid asphalt surface, irregardless what happens in and around the building, whether it's expanded, it's not, whatever. If we just seal coat, do some crack repair and seal coat, we're going to be back at this in 7 or 8 years doing the same thing. And this is the first real opportunity I think we've had in a while. We have the funding available based upon the numbers that I supplied to you that we can do this. It's cheaper than taking option C, which obviously is adding a different piece. By the way, parking spaces cost somewhere around $4,000 to $5,000 to create. As you can see, we got a pretty good bid at basically $4,000 a spot. Again, we felt good about the process. We felt good about what the bids came in at. They were relatively close together. And so our choice would be, and what we're proposing is to go with option D. Again, that's the DOJ work-based bid as well as the alternate 6, which is the 2-inch milling and re-asphalting of the entire surface there.
Yeah, that's kind of my fault. I should have asked for in the motion for us to move one of these options. Mr. Rector, I believe you have the motion. Do you have a preference, A, B, C, or D, that you would rather have be the motion?
We could go with D.
D, since that's recommended. Is that okay with you, Jack? Okay. Then effectively, the motion before us is option D. Any discussion from anybody?
David, sorry.
No, go right ahead.
We're not doing it, but I'm just curious. On alternate 2, are those true numbers? One's like 30K and one's 2,300?
Yeah, we called them about that.
Okay,
We did check on it, and they would hold to that. They felt first of all that in the drive, they didn't think there was a lot of crack repair that needed to be done, and in the A&R bid, they felt like there was a lot of crack repair. So you had 2 different schools of thought on what needed to be done,
okay.
but they would have held to that price.
Just curious. Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Dana, I'm willing to follow your guidance on this. You're the guy in charge of these numbers and these parking lots. And if everybody's for it, does anybody else have any discussion they'd like to make on this? All right, then I'll ask all those in favor of moving option D, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, option D it is. All right, then, since that will move forward to the county board, let's go ahead, and it was unanimous, so that would be on the consent agenda. Let's move on to facilities director's report.
Okay. This will go fairly quickly. Nursing home chiller compressor was replaced about 2 weeks ago and is up and running. Haven't finalized and have not received the pay application yet from Johnson Controls, but we've got a meeting. I believe, on Thursday to finalize everything. So I expect them to deliver their invoice to us at that time, or pay application. But the project is done, and it's in place and working. We're just waiting for the hot weather to return.
Any questions? Okay. RTU.
Brookings multi-zone. I think I informed everyone at the last meeting that there was a delay in the manufacture of the two RTUs. We are not expecting them until late October. We've had several meetings with the contractor. They will actually get started middle of this month doing some of the pre-work over here. There's a number of pipe that needs to be put in from the outside in between the roof deck and our ceiling that they'll put in. Currently, our pipe is exposed up on the roof. Does a couple things. It sits up there and rusts. It gives an opportunity to degrade, potentially having a leak, and it's just stuff that you don't want on top of your roof that's exposed. So we are putting it inside, and it'll go to the areas where the two compressors, where the two RT units will be located. They'll do some wiring work preliminarily, try and do as much of that as they can so it's quick and easy. We don't have a fixed day yet when this changeover will be occurring. We believe it's going to be the end of the month, and it'll take about 3 days. Day one is lifting the old units off the top of the roof and replacing them with the two new units, and it'll take 2 full days to wire up and energize both units so that they'll be running, producing heat for Pod 200. They will continue to be here day for a third and a fourth and a fifth day, balancing the system and finalizing things, but we'll be getting out a memo here after our next meeting when we get final confirmation of delivery date, crane delivery, et cetera, to lift the units in place. So we'll be communicating to the staff within the building to advise them, A, we're going to have to shut down the parking lot the day that the crane's in the lot so that nothing below. We'll also be moving some folks around in offices. We don't anticipate having to close any offices, but for a 5-minute period or so while something's overhead, we definitely want to move people around so they're out of the way should something happen with a crane. And we'll just advise them to wear layers for those 3 days that will impact their environment inside. So, but other than that, we anticipate it being done shortly after the 1st of November.
Any questions for Dana on that project? All right, seeing none, let's move on. Coroner's generator.
Quarters generator. Based upon the last report, we thought everything was hunky-dory, and September 11th, the generator was supposed to arrive, and we learned this morning that Cummins somehow missed ordering the generator. Our contractor, PALS, has talked with them on several occasions, and we're led to believe that it was ordered, but it was not, according to Cummins. So it will be arriving middle of October. Really doesn't present many issues or problems arriving that late. We will have a meeting on Friday with them. We will get everything done that is necessary outside. What does that mean? That means we need to pour a concrete pad for where this is going to reside over by the physical plant and election supply. It needs to be piped for conduit. So we'll get all the digging and concrete work, all the exterior work of getting things into the building will be accomplished this month prior to weather potentially getting bad, so that, you know, even if you have a frost and an early snowstorm, heaven forbid, we're not slowed down or delayed once the generator does arrive here. They'll not be able to put in the transfer switch until it actually arrives, which is not that big of a deal. but it'll take a few days to get the interior work done. But we should be in good shape and should be done by the end of October.
Any questions on that from anyone? Okay, thank you, Dana, for the update. Boy, that's it from you, sir, I believe. We'll move ahead to the semi-annual review of closed session minutes. The letter to me tells me, and I quote, that none of our minutes are ripe, so therefore we shall not pick them. We'll move on to the chair's report. Our next meeting is Tuesday, October 3rd at 6:30 in this room. I really have nothing else for anybody. Items for consent agenda are 9A as option D. And with that, if there's no objection, we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everybody.